I welcome you to my channel. Subscribe and listen to my new stories every day. I remember that morning vividly. Ida had just woken up, her hair a tangled mess of curls framing her usually radiant face, now clouded with uncertainty. As I prepared breakfast, her hesitant voice broke the silence of our small kitchen. "I'm pregnant," she announced, her eyes not meeting mine. At first, elation filled the room, a stark contrast to the heavy air of recent days. We had always agreed that children were not in our immediate plans, but the surprise seemed to bring a new spark between us, or so I thought. However, as days turned into weeks, a subtle shift in Aida's demeanor began to unsettle me. She was often distracted, her laughter forced, and her nights restless. My joy slowly morphed into suspicion, fueled by her mysterious phone calls and unexplained absences. Determined to shake off my doubts, I decided to surprise her one evening with a bouquet of her favorite flowers, lilies. The air was crisp, the dying light casting long shadows as I approached our home, my heart pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. The front door was unlocked, an unusual oversight for Ida, who was meticulous about security. My pulse quickened as I stepped inside, the familiar scent of jasmine in the air mingling with something else, a cologne that was definitely not mine. The muffled sounds of laughter drew me to our bedroom, the door slightly ajar. Pushing it open, the scene before me froze in time, Ida, entangled with a stranger, her shocked eyes catching mine as the man scrambled from our bed. The flowers slipped from my grasp, petals scattering like the remnants of my shattered trust. "Who is he, Ida?" I managed to choke out, my voice a mix of anger and disbelief. He's just a friend, I swear," she stammered, hastily covering herself with a sheet. "A friend?" My laugh was bitter, hollow. "Don't lie to me." "Not now." It took her a moment to respond, her voice a whisper. "He's the father, I'm so sorry." The revelation hit me like a wave, overwhelming and suffocating. The room spun, and I braced myself against the wall. My wife, the woman I trusted more than anyone, had betrayed me in the most intimate way. In the days that followed, my initial shock gave way to a calculated coldness. I decided to not just walk away but to make sure Ida felt the depth of my betrayal. Through legal maneuvers and exposing her affair, I dismantled the life we had built together. Our divorce was quick, her pleas for forgiveness met with my indifferent silence. The morning after the revelation was cold and gray, much like the resolve settling deep within me. My mind raced with plans as I sat in the dim light of dawn, the silence of our now empty apartment echoing the void inside me. I knew what I had to do. I started by securing a meeting with the best divorce attorney in the city, determined to leave no stone unturned in my quest for retribution. As I walked into the sleek, glass-walled office, the attorney, Ms. Carter, greeted me with a firm handshake. "I've reviewed your case," she began, her voice crisp. "We can ensure the divorce settlement leaves her with nothing if you're prepared to go all the way." "I am," I replied without hesitation. She must understand the consequences of her betrayal. The following weeks were a whirlwind of legal battles. Ida tried to reach out, her messages oscillating between apologies and pleas, but I ignored them all. Each unread message fueled my resolve as I watched her life unravel through court documents and hearings. One evening, as I prepared my testimony, my phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. I answered, and a male voice spilled through the speaker. "Listen, I know about Ida. I'm the guy, and I think we got off on the wrong foot," he said, his voice edged with nervousness. "Save it," I snapped, the anger evident in my tone. "You're just as guilty. Don't expect any sympathy from me." "Please, I didn't know she was married," he pleaded. "I want to make things right. Maybe I can help you." His offer caught me off guard, but a plan quickly formed in my mind. "All right, meet me tomorrow. Coffee shop on 5th, noon." The meeting was tense. He was younger than I expected, his eyes filled with a remorse that didn't quite reach me. As we talked, I laid out my conditions: testify against Ida in court, revealing all details of their affair. In return, I'd keep his name out of the public eye. He agreed, desperate to clear his own conscience. With his testimony secured, Aida's case weakened further. The court sessions grew intense, Aida's lawyer scrambling to salvage what little they could. On the day of the final hearing, I watched from the gallery as Ida stood, her face pale, the strain evident. When her lover's testimony played, her last shred of composure broke. The judge's gavel was a sound of finality, granting me everything I demanded. Outside the courtroom, Aida's eyes met mine, a mix of sorrow and regret. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice breaking. I turned away without a word, her apology left hanging in the cold air. The taste of victory was bitter, but necessary. I had dismantled her life, piece by piece, ensuring her betrayal was met with equal measure. As I walked away, the skies cleared slightly, a ray of sunlight breaking through the clouds. It wasn't the warmth of forgiveness but the cold light of a new beginning. My revenge was complete, but the road ahead was mine to forge alone. The further intrigue of my journey into rebuilding and facing the consequences of my actions would unfold, but for now, I reveled in the closure I had created. The days following the divorce were laden with a silent tension that clung to me like a second skin. While the court had granted me my due, the hollow victory did little to soothe the embers of anger still burning within. I knew that true retribution was not just about dismantling Aida's present but reshaping my future to stand as a testament to her betrayal. As I pored over the final documents from Ms. Carter, my phone rang with an unexpected caller ID. It was Mark, Aida's former lover and my unlikely ally in the court. His voice was tentative when I answered. "I just wanted to check on you," Mark started, his tone awkward. "After everything, it feels weird just to walk away without knowing how you are." I paused, considering his words. "I'm moving forward, Mark. That's all you need to know." "There's something else," he continued, hesitating. "I've been thinking a lot about what happened, how we ended up here. I have a proposal for you." Intrigued despite myself, I agreed to meet him. We chose a quiet bar, away from the usual buzz of the city. As I entered, the dim lighting revealed Mark sitting alone at a table, a file in front of him. "I'm starting a venture," Mark began without preamble, sliding the file towards me. "It's a tech startup. I think you might be interested in being a part of it. Not just for investment, but for a partnership." "Why would you think that? After everything?" I asked, skepticism lacing my words. "Because we both know what it's like to be deceived, and how much it costs to trust again. This project, it's about security, preventing deceit in digital communications. I thought it might resonate with you," he explained, his eyes earnest. The proposal was detailed, the concept innovative. It piqued my interest, not just as a venture, but as a chance to channel my experiences into something constructive. After a long discussion, exploring every facet of the business, I found myself slowly nodding. "All right, Mark. Let's do this," I decided, surprising even myself. With the partnership formed, our days filled with meetings, planning sessions, and pitches. The venture grew, fueled by our shared experiences and driven by a mutual understanding of betrayal. Our focus was razor-sharp, our aim clear: to protect others from the deceit we had suffered. However, amidst the flurry of activity, my past was never far behind. One evening, as I left the office, I noticed a familiar figure waiting by my car. It was Ida. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice a mix of hope and fear. I paused, weighing my options. "There's nothing left to say, Ida. I know I can't change the past," she replied, her eyes searching mine. "But I heard about your new project. It's impressive, and I wanted to say I'm sorry, once more, for everything." Her words, though expected, did little to stir sympathy. "Your apology doesn't change what happened, Ida. The project, my life now, it's built from the ruins you left behind. Turning away, I left her standing there, the finality in my stride echoing the closure I had sought all along. As I drove off, the rearview mirror briefly caught her retreating figure, a ghost from a past life fading into the background. Back at home, as I sat reviewing the latest developments from our startup, a sense of purpose filled me. The venture was not just a business, it was a fortress I was building around my newfound resilience. The road to recovery was long, and though the shadows of betrayal still lingered, the light of a new beginning was finally breaking through the darkness. The startup had grown beyond our expectations, rapidly becoming a leader in digital security. The success seemed to bolster my new life, a stark contrast to the shadows of my past. Yet, beneath the surface of these achievements, a darker plan had taken root, one that would ensure Ida and Mark would never forget the depth of my betrayal. One evening, as I sat in my office overlooking the city, the phone rang, its shrill tone slicing through the quiet. It was an investigator I had quietly hired months ago, his voice urgent. "I've got something you need to see," he said, a weight to his words that immediately put me on edge. "Meet me in half an hour," I replied, the pieces of my long-awaited plan clicking into place. We met in a nondescript cafe, away from the prying eyes of the city. He slid a folder across the table, filled with photographs and documents. As I flipped through the pages, my suspicions were confirmed. Mark had been funneling company secrets to a competitor, with Ida as his contact. The deceit cut deeper than I had imagined. "I want every detail. When they meet, how they communicate, everything," I instructed the investigator, my voice cold with resolve. The final pieces of my plan fell into place over the next few days. I gathered undeniable evidence of their conspiracy, securing the means to destroy them both legally and financially. The trap was set, and I invited them to a meeting under the guise of discussing a new business strategy. They arrived together, a false camaraderie in their steps. We sat in the high-rise conference room, the city sprawled below us, a fitting backdrop for their downfall. "Thank you for coming," I began, my voice steady. "I wanted to discuss the future of our company and your roles in it." As I talked, their relaxed demeanors showed no sign of guilt. When I finally paused, it was Mark who spoke first. "We've been meaning to discuss the future with you as well," he said, a trace of duplicity in his tone that he couldn't quite mask. "That's good because the future is exactly what we need to address today," I replied, standing to retrieve the projector remote. The screen flickered to life, displaying emails, messages, and photographs, all irrefutable evidence of their betrayal. The room filled with their stunned silence. "What is this?" Ida finally gasped, her face pale. "This," I said, my voice hard as steel, "is your betrayal, laid bare. You didn't just betray me, you betrayed everything we've built." Mark stood abruptly, his chair clattering behind him. "You don't understand. This isn't what it looks like." "Oh, but I do understand," I countered smoothly, my anger a calm storm. "You see, while you were busy plotting, I was securing my retribution." Their panic was palpable as they realized the extent of their exposure. Security entered the room at my nod, their presence a physical reminder of their imminent demise. "You will both be removed from the company effective immediately," I continued, the security officers stepping forward. "And expect legal proceedings to begin first thing tomorrow." As they were escorted out, their pleading eyes met mine, but I felt nothing but the cold satisfaction of justice served. The aftermath was brutal. Mark and Ida faced criminal charges for their actions, their professional reputations left in ruins. The news of their deception rocked the industry, but our company emerged stronger, cleansed of their malice. Sitting in my office later, watching the city light up as night fell, I felt a chapter of my life close with a final, resolute click. Betrayal had tried to break me, but in its wake, I had forged a new empire, unbreakable and true. My revenge was complete, not just in their punishment, but in the undeniable success that flourished from the ashes of their treachery.